I did pick that up. It's actually featherlight.
I was actually a power lifter. So the fact that you picked this up like that is like amazing, you David Hasselhoff look-alike. When Hasselhoff was cute. I'm just saying. I am honored and humbled to be a part of this. You all are so cool. I rode the bus yesterday. I did, and people were just so happy. I sat next to like the happiest woman ever. She was like, hi. There was a guy on the bus just greeting everybody. He was like, hello, welcome to my bus. Hello. And I asked her what she did, and she's telling me, I'm a CNA. I said, how long you been here? She's like, a year. I said, do you know what the day is going to be? She said, no. I have no idea. I asked other people. They didn't know either. I think it's so we get magnet status. I'm not even making this up. And she was so happy and joyful. You know, like you were when you first came. Because you get these new people and they're like shiny and new. Like, I love my job. I love the patients. I love everything. And then that one person who's been here a little too long. I said the same thing. You just wait. You're going to be like me too. Then why do you stay? For that parking space? It's amazing. You know, Barry talked about that ratio of 6 to 1. I'm going to ask those of you who are recording, please, to stop, because that little bright, bright light is shining right into, and this is not a hairstyle by choice. This is a result of a head injury. And Zach and his whole family gonna have to come up here and walk me out of it. So thank you for that. So no, but really, you know, that ratio, 6 to 1, to have 6 people to every one who are totally engaged is unheard of in healthcare. It's unheard of. But that one is so toxic, they can spread through this place like nobody's business, and the next thing you know, everybody else is toxic too. Because one person comes in just mad at life. I am not gonna smile. I saw y'all. It's like, just smile, you'll feel better. Not me. You can't make me smile. I smiled yesterday. So I'm really, really honored by you, because you really are exceptional. And I hope you know that. And I hope you know by the time I'm done why I think what you do is more of a calling than a job, and done simply better, changes the world that we live in. I'm going to ask before I get started that you clean your filter. Every life has a filter. It's like the filter in the dryer. There's a note right there that says clean before each use. You don't clean that filter, what was on the last thing gets on the new thing, leave it long enough, you set a fire. Clean the filter. I don't do laundry. My mother did the laundry. Laundry skips a generation. The filter is there to pull all that negative stuff away, let you hold it so you can look at it, learn from it, and not want to repeat it. If you don't clean the filter, it becomes the window through which you see the world. We all get stuff caught in our filter. My ex-husband got caught in my filter. I got married and divorced in the same year. Had to write a country song. It's called If I Shot You When I Met You, I'd Be Out of Jail by Now. I actually I did write that song, and I do love country music. And I yodel on the weekends. So not kidding. One day I was listening to country music, a guy called to ask me out. He was like, I was gonna ask you out, but you're listening to country. I said, yeah. He said, but you're black. I said, what do you turn on country and turn white? What are you talking about? He said, okay, okay. And then he said those words that women love to hear, calm down. Oh, that's right up there with relax. And then you have to go, I was calm. He was like, okay, okay. Who you listening to? I said, Katie Lang. He said, isn't she that lesbian? I said, and a Canadian. He said, are you a lesbian? I said, are you the alternative? My mama said, you can be dumb all by yourself. There's no need to join up with stupid. One of the most effective ways to clean your filter, and Barry talked about the transformational power of gratitude, is through gratitude. But not the gratitude you have for others, but the feeling of joy that you get when someone comes back to tell you thank you. In that video, you saw Zach come around the corner and that nurse literally dropped to his knees in joy. It does that for you. But in healthcare, you all do that thing that you just do. That's just what we do. That's just our job. That's just what we do. You don't have to thank us. To me, I mean, like, everything about what you do is amazing. Barry announced no break, and you're like, we hold it, this healthcare. Somebody will call you, and you're like, I was gonna go have to pee, but hold on. Okay. How you turn it off like that? They will build a whole new wing with no bathroom. Like, that's okay, I can wait till tomorrow. It's just what we do. And nothing kills joy more than just what we do. In fact, in healthcare, unlike any other business, people burn out in other businesses because they sick and tired of being sick and tired. They hate everybody. I just hate this. I'm tired of it. Not in healthcare. You burn out from something called compassion fatigue. You don't burn out because you don't care. You burn out because you care so much. And you just care, and you care, and you care. Like, I care. And then you just get to the point of like, I can't care no more. Somebody brings you something that I don't care. I shut my care off. But gratitude can awaken it, and gratitude for something you do. And it is truly the simple little things we all have within us. We possess the power to change somebody's day. You can make it the best day they've ever had, and you can make it the worst day they've ever had. You have the power. It's simple. I was in an airport, and I travel a lot, so I'm in an airport a lot. Little girl was just running around in circles. Now, you would think that I'm a little bit sensitive to kids running around in circles because I am a mom of 5 adopted kids. Y'all want them? I was praying for love one day. I felt that I had done a lot in life. It was time for someone to come and love me. My mother called and said, your sister's 3 children are in danger of going into foster care. They've all been born fetal alcohol and crack addicted. You have to take them. I hung up and called a friend, said I was praying for love. I'm getting children. What happened? She said, with God, you need to be more specific. I prayed again. God, a man. And that's how I got that country song. So, as you know, if you do a good job with something, people don't take responsibility away. They give you more. That's how I ended up with 5 children. People just started dropping them off. My youngest son is diagnosed as being autistic. We found out he's just odd. He didn't speak until he was 6. It was right after we saw The Lion King. Yeah, now he talks like James Earl Jones. I'm not kidding. He's like, cereal, mother. He chases the ceiling fan, and I let him, because that way I know where he is. One day he's chasing the ceiling fan. He says, Mother, do you think at this time, this place, this moment, there's another planet where people are doing what we're doing at this time, this place, this moment? I said, oh my God, he's contemplating a parallel universe and chasing a ceiling fan. He's gonna take Barry's job. That day in the airport, I see this little girl running around in circles, and you think I'd be sensitive to this and just help out. She was with her father. The father's looking like, I don't even know what to do with the kid. Everybody else was like, somebody needs to get that kid. Finally, I look up because I keep moving, and she kept moving closer to me. I'm like, can you smell my kids on me or something? So I'm like, kid, Frozen or Monsters University? She goes, Monsters University. I said, all right. I pulled it up on my phone. I flipped my phone on my bag, and we sat there watching it. And she was like this. And the father said, oh, my God, thank you. I said, I didn't do it for you. We watch it. She's happy. They call the flight. It's time to go. I'm like, sorry, kid. Wish we could have watched the whole thing. She said, that's okay, lady. Thank you so much. I got on the plane first. She came on afterwards. She's looking around. She spots me. She goes, lady. And I'm like, what? And she says, here. And she points this and hands it to me. And it's the glove of her doll. She says, now you have one and I have one. We sisters. Whoa. That little thing that I did for her gave me this little thing, and I keep it in my Kindle, and every time I'm on a plane, I realize no matter what's going on, I possess the power to make a difference. The other thing that is very, very effective in cleaning your filter is music. Music is the most parsimonious language. Parsimonious $3 word that simply means it says the most in the least amount of space. The only other language that does it better is Ebonics. Because it be that way sometime. I've been singing this song for years. It talks about changing the world requires that you change yourself. In fact, the only person you can change is you. And when you change, you illuminate a pathway for others to follow. You just take yourselves for granted. I did it for years. I'd get on a plane, off a plane, on a plane, off a plane, thought nothing of it until I was on the plane and the engine was struck by lightning. That will make you grateful. Pilot did a brilliant job of calming everybody down. He said, don't worry, look out the window, you see all those ambulances there for you. This is not how any of this works. It happened to be during the time I fast. I fast every year for 40 days, 40 nights. I don't eat anything. I drink water and juice. It's grueling. I don't recommend it. I usually cheat on the 29th day. I call it communion. Last year, I knew I was wrong. I was in the kitchen going, Jesus, your body needs butter. See, I love that y'all can laugh. And laugh with like head thrown back. See, I live in Savannah, Georgia now with friends who are so spiritually minded, they're no earthly good. You know the ones. How are you today? I'm blessed. Share that with your face. I told the whole communion thing to one of my blessed friends, and you know how people are. If they're not willing to do what you do, they like to criticize the way you do it. I would not make a bed like that. We know you never make beds. And yet you work in housekeeping. I said, you've never fasted. She says, how do you know? I said, if you had, you know on the 5th day you see Jesus and he's holding a biscuit. Anyway, I was on the 32nd day of this fast, engine struck by lightning, you would think of this heightened spiritual, mental, emotional state. I'd call everyone together to pray. At the very least, we collectively hum. 32 days of fasting, my first thought was not let us pray. I was thinking, I should have ate. Life is not short. In fact, it's long. We make it short with our acts of envy and jealousy and strife and our failure to recognize our own power and beauty in the world. This year, I'll be 70. Okay, I'm lying. I'll be 56, but see, I noticed that if you put your age up, you get more compliments. He was down here like, oh my God, she looks good. Let's date. Life is for living and for joy and for experiencing and for doing the work. In our work, we really are to be awakened and to find our reason for existence. But you can't do it if you don't start to recognize that every day, you can just be better. You cannot change the world we see till change begins with you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. Patiently, courageously, be the change you wish to see. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Thank you. Okay, so, just so you know, I am a sociologist. Yeah, when I'm on planes and people, you sit down and the first thing they do is like, what do you do for a living? And I'm thinking, when they announce in-flight entertainment, did you hear my name? And I happen to be a writer and a sociologist, so if I feel like talking, I say I'm a writer. If I don't, I say I'm a sociologist. I taught statistics, and I love statistical analysis, crunching numbers, but some studies drive me nuts. There's one study, they spent $1 million, and they found that when people were happy on their jobs, they were most productive. I shared those findings with my mom. She was 87 at the time. She said, I bet if they split that $1 million with the people they study, they'd be real productive. As much as I love that analysis, all it does is gather a bunch of stories to tell one big story. Wonderful poet from the 50s, Muriel Rukeyser, said the world is not connected by tiny atoms, it's connected by our stories. It's why when I share a story with you, your mind goes to the story and how you connect to it. So I'll share in the form of stories. I am not a motivational speaker. People, sometimes they say, oh, she's a motivational speaker. I'm like, clearly you've not seen my daughter's bedroom. No, if you want motivation, you call on Zach and his family. I'm telling you, that made me want to get up and become a cyclist. And I don't even like sitting on a bike. It was just powerful. Inspiration, motivation, people in healthcare don't typically need it because motivation is about enabling you to get up. You already get up. You're willing to get up. You signed up for it. When you were 3, you knew you wanted to help people. You're already motivated. Inspiration is touching the head and the heart to remind you of that divine appointment. So that's what I hope to do. And I hope to do it through stories. But your purpose is not your job, it is your calling. Brilliant psychologist by the name of Naeem Akbar says we must ask ourselves on a daily basis, why me here now? I believe that when you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny. You don't know when that moment may be, so you have to be prepared for it. Why me here now? It's a philosophical question. Don't get caught up in the philosophy. I took philosophy as a foreign language requirement. Professor walked into the room, held up the textbook and said, "Is this book real?" Is it really real? How do we know that it's real? I said, "Excuse me, I know it's real because I paid $59.95 for it." He said, "Very good, very good. What evidence do we have that you actually bought the book?" I said, "You trying to say I stole it? Like y'all did with some of them pillows?" I'm just saying, what is it with healthcare and free food? Y'all came in this morning, you were like, "We can take as many as we want. Can I get another plate to cover my plate and put my name on the plate?" As much as I love those philosophical questions, it's about service. No one can make a servant a slave because you willingly say, "I'm here as a leader to serve you." When you look at Berry, I mean, you think about it. Leaders are usually ambiverts. I can tell you this whole front row of people would rather be reading a book, a report, doing something. They're not people who want to get on a stage and talk to people, i.e. Dr. Schwartz, Schaefer, or whatever his name changed from. It was Schwartz in my notes. It's all right, you changed your name. Dr. Schaefer was like, "Hello, everyone. I need more cowbell. I've always wanted to say that. We have a myriad of services." You got brilliant golfers and painters, but in their existence, they never asked to be leaders. They said, "How do I serve?" And they kept serving, and somebody said, "We're going to now make you the CEO." "Oh, no, I want to do Pilates." The greatest in the kingdom is the servant of all. Don't wonder why you haven't been promoted. Wonder how you can serve better. That's the real question. So I want to share with you how I came to love what you do so much, and this purpose, and your purpose is huge to improve the health and well-being of the individuals, their families, and your communities. You are changing the game. You're changing the game. This mission, this vision, and the vision is we're looking way down the road to say right now, it is not just the present, it's the now and the not yet. How can I be exceptional and extraordinary for everyone? How can I do that? Well, let me tell you my experience and why I know that what you already possess, you have what you need. You already possess what you need. My mom was the most and is the most amazing influencer in the world. She was the very definition of transformation. Amazing woman. She was very, very healthy, long in life. And even though she had heart disease, had heart attacks in her 40s, she made it to her 80s without getting sick. Single mother of 7 children. She had me at 42 and my little sister at 50. Yeah. Amazingly strong and resilient, but tough and troubled and strained life that she just transformed. And then at 85, she had a brain tumor. And over a 2-year period, it resulted in 5 heart attacks and 6 strokes. We lived in healthcare. If we weren't in an ICU, neuro, or cardio, we were in a doctor's office, we were in a clinic, we were somewhere getting blood drawn, labs drawn. We were always in healthcare. And initially, she was very frightened and afraid, and so I was too. And she said, I don't want to die in this kind of thing. I don't want this to happen. And I said, it won't happen, don't worry. The first night we had to stay in the hospital, and I stayed with her. I stayed in that thing you all like to call a chair bed. Stop that. And I was determined to monitor and watch out and care. And when you're in fear, you are thinking that everyone else is your enemy. Because the opposite of fear is not bravery, it's love. Perfect love is the thing that moves out all the fear. But I wasn't in love, I was in fear. So I was that family member at the bedside that you love to see. What's your name? You checking her vitals? Can you spell vital? And what are you giving her? Spell that. No, not the medicine, CC. Spell CC. Is that just C and C? Because y'all got different ways and things. And I just, and we're just writing. Not even looking at the page, you just. What are you writing about? Are you cleaning the room? I'm writing about it. And then the next day, I look through my notes because a good sociologist doesn't make observations. We look for patterns of behavior. Why? Because mistakes don't happen when you're new. They happen when you're comfortable. And I had read the news. Y'all kill people. So I was looking for them patterns of behavior. And I found in my notes something that I didn't remember writing. And it was amazing and unique. And I'm like, it's in my handwriting, but I don't remember putting that there. And you know, when you're really in fear, you move from fear to what I like to call conspiracy theory. And it was a simple line. It said, nurse came in and rubbed mom's feet. When that happened, I ain't see that. I know what happened. The nurse waited till I went to sleep, came in, took my book, and wrote it in there. So I decided the next day I'm going to pay attention because this thing is huge. And if anybody had seen this, I should have seen it. Because my mother's feet were a big thing in our household. My mother was back in the day what was called a nurse's aide. And for many, many years, she worked at what was called a nursing home. And because she provided shoes for her 7 children, she couldn't buy a new pair for herself. So she had those white nurse's shoes and those white stockings. We lived in Wilmington, Delaware, where it was cold or hot or sleety and rainy. And those shoes had holes in the bottom, and she'd line them with newspaper. And she'd walk the 3 miles there and walk the 3 miles back. Some days my mother would come home soiled with the mess of someone's bedpan who had called her outside of her name and didn't want to deal with her. My mother's feet were the ugliest feet anyone had ever seen. And they smelled horrible. She'd take off her shoes and we'd play a game, don't step where mom stepped. We had chores. You had to take out the trash and do the dishes. rub mom's feet. And every week we'd be at the negotiation table. I'll take the trash and the dishes if you take them feet. No one wanted to touch my mother's feet. So the fact that someone had come in and lovingly massaged her feet and I missed it said that there was something wrong with me. You see, the way you see the world is the way you see yourself. If people are always trying to get over, do something, check yourself. I had to look at me. How did I miss that? I'm going to watch. The next day, the woman came in and rubbed my mother's feet as if Michelangelo had carved them. And I'm like, how did I miss that? So I decided to watch and pay attention that there was so much more going on in this thing called healthcare than I knew. One day someone was standing outside my mother's door and they said, go see her, go see her. Where'd you get it? Down the road. Where? From the chocolate lady. I was like, my mother, it's okay to say black. They were laughing and looked at me and went, who is that? And just kept walking. I'm like, I sleep in the room next to her. What are you talking about? My mother could never get credit from anyone to do anything. The only person that extended her credit was the liquor store. So she became a very abusive alcoholic. And when she transformed from being alcoholic, because she was no longer that, she stopped drinking and smoking 1 year just for my Christmas present. She became a chocoholic. So I'd bring in these giant bars, 6 every day. And every day they'd be gone. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing with the chocolate? She said, you ever notice that night shift? They droopy. I prop them up with chocolate. Even today, people will stop me and say, chocolate lady's daughter. And somebody will go, hey, it's okay to say black. I'm like, no, it's really the chocolate lady's daughter. I'm going to fast forward to 2 years beyond that to the day that she left. And my mom's, I should have known something was up. Y'all have clues and signals and signs. But her doctor was at a conference, and I knew he was at a conference, but I saw him there early in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing here? Someone had called him and told him my mom's condition, and he left his conference to come back and be with her. And my mother had coded. She coded and was talking 2 minutes later. You've all seen this patient. My mother would be in ICU eating fried chicken. Bells and whistles going on. Beep, bop, bop. Tell him to turn off that music. I'm like, can you move my mom to a regular room? Look at her vitals. She's dead. We don't know how she's eating chicken. She codes, and 2 seconds later, she's talking. I'm still here. I'm not going. Dr. Rahimi pulls me out in the hallway, and he says, listen, you know I love your mother. People always think doctors are just cold and calculating, just looking for a boat payment. What they are? You just reminded me of a joke, though. Difference between a nurse and a doctor? You ever notice when somebody gives you a drink and it's not quite right, you have to doctor it up. But when it's perfect, you just nurse it. Rahimi says to me, you're going to have to make a very tough decision, because if this happens again, I can revive her, but is that what she'll want? Is it what you want? I said, I don't have to make that decision. He said, you're not listening to me. I need you to listen to me right now. This is a serious moment. I said, I'm listening, but you're not listening. You hear, you don't listen. I said, Dr. Rahimi, listen. A couple of hours ago, somebody in this system thing. Sent a social worker into my mother's room, and she filled out her own living will. I don't have to make the decision because she made it for herself. And the thing that I would have done wrong, incorrect, just out of what clinging to her, because she had been living with me for those last 18, 20 years. She was my best friend. She was my Columbo buddy. And even though we knew the way Columbo was going to end on that show, we'd watch it like, what's going to happen? So I'm standing there trying to control this moment, like I know what's going to happen. My mother had never written a check, filled out a form, anything of importance. She always handed it to me and said, you do this. But that one she did herself. And that kind of dignity, I can't buy. Here's a woman who was ostracized most of her life, even by her own family. But she was given the dignity to live and die on her own terms. My mom said, I'm going because I'm tired now. I said, you can't leave, I need you. And she said, you're gonna need me more from the other side. She said, I laid here this long trying to figure out what I could leave you. I said, Mommy, stop, please. You don't have to give me anything. She said, well, I don't have any money. And all the good jewelry I have, you gave to me. I don't think it'd be right to give that back. I said, oh, yes, it would. She said, I know what to give you. And when you speak to those who do more for others than they do for themselves, I want you to share it with them too. I said, wow, the morphine drip really works. She said, I'm going to take all of the generational baggage, the hurt, the shame, the stuff that happened to me, my mother, and her mother before her. I'm going to pack it up and take it with me to the other side. I'm leaving you a clean slate. And when you talk to those who do more for others than they do for themselves, you tell them that me and the ancestors are giving them a clean slate. 17 seconds later, she was gone. The staff held me and hugged me and rocked me in their arms. And they told me it was going to be okay. And then they got called down the hall to do the same thing again for somebody else. And I said, how can they do that? How can their emotions be pulled up and down and up and down, and they keep doing this work? You are a perfect blend of the spiritual and the scientific all in one vessel. I began to leave the room, and I went back and checked just to make sure she didn't say, I'm still here. Called every florist in the town and ordered flowers for every floor, every division, every department, everybody, reception, everywhere we'd ever been. And even now, people say, oh my God, those were the most beautiful flowers. And I'm like, no, they weren't. Some were day olds because I had to buy a lot. what they were saying was to receive thank you from someone who they knew was in pain meant so much. But what I wasn't able to say to them at that time, I can say to you now. I didn't lose my mother. She gained her dignity. And that's a gift you can't pay for. I've been learning beyond this. How do you continue? How do you care that much so that I feel like I'm the only person on the floor? How do you do that? How and why do you burn out? There's a wonderful Arabic proverb that says, when a person seeks their purpose, the universe conspires to answer. I got the answer in the most unusual way. The sewage system on my house kept backing up. I said it was unusual. Kept backing up. I kept calling them in, and I said, what's happening? They said, you keep putting stuff in there. So I said, well, come out and show me how it works. They said, listen, this is all it is. You got a grinder on your house. Everything is ground up. It goes to the street. There's a backflow valve, keeps it from coming back in. I said, that's it. The backflow valve is broken. They said, little lady, you don't understand this. You're not an engineer. I said, no, I'm a sociologist. I understand statistics and probability. That's probably not my stuff. I said, we'll come out. They came. They said, we'll call you this afternoon, because I had to go somewhere. They didn't call. They left a note. They were too embarrassed. So sorry to tell you this, Dr. Berry. It's not that your backflow valve is broken. We never put one in. The sewage from 40 houses was coming to mine. I had an alarm that kept it from backing up in my house, but it was coming to my system. Prior to that, the white truck with the little flashing light would come to my house every day, every other day, every week. The neighbors would stand out and go, you backed up again. But the day after they fixed it, every city truck was at every house in my neighborhood. The neighbors came running over. They banged on the door. They said, you messed up our system. Ours is never broken. You done messed up my system. I said, no, I didn't. I gave you back your stuff. The light went on for me. It's not that I wasn't taking care of my own house. I'm telling you, we were having arguments. Who put an American flag in the septic tank? Because they said they pulled one out. My kids are like, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Somebody in this house did it. There was infighting within and among. We felt like we needed to call in a negotiator to deal with the mess that was in the tank. But it wasn't ours. Because we took on the problems of the neighborhood, it caused our system to mess up, and that's what happens for you. Society's ills and problems and underemployment and new changes and regulations and affordable health care and all of this gets dumped on you, and we call it a health care crisis. It's a society crisis. But it's yours, and you all stand up and go, okay, because we health care, that's just what we do. I'll hold my pee and figure it out. You're going to have to find a way to teach others to be responsible for their stuff, and that's the system you're building. You're moving from a sick model to a wellness model. You're saying, hey, 80% of the crap you're dealing with is behavior related. Let's change your behavior. You're going to change the way the world works. You have this amazing integrated system. Stop acting like you're one against the other. I know it's really cool, and you got a really good-looking CEO from Long Beach. But Long Beach can't be against Saddleback. You got to understand that you are connected. Why? Because Saddleback has a golf swing that cannot be beat. You're all connected. You're part of one system. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, you all have like great laughter. Healthcare people can laugh at the most twisted stuff. That's the reason why y'all love me. And nobody else. You can cry and laugh and cry and laugh. You can't do this anywhere. And yet you suppress it because you have to. You got to learn to laugh when it's appropriate for you. Laughter is a healing thing. It is a gift, and those who can't laugh are probably 1% who don't want to be engaged. I used to co-own an art gallery. We use all the proceeds to help families in need. Whenever we get a family moved in the house, we ask another one to come back and help another family. One of these families had come back, and the mother walked in, and her teeth were sticking way out. She didn't look like that the last time we saw her. So I was like, what happened to you? She said, I don't know. Something not right. I woke up this morning, something not right. I said, it sure ain't. She said, can you help me? It took us an hour to figure out that she'd accidentally put on her husband's dentures. And see, I love that y'all can laugh about that, because many of you have delivered the teeth to the wrong room. But we have two sets of friends. You know how you like to share stuff with people? You want to go home and tell your family what happened, and they're like, that's why you should quit. You can't tell everybody everything. In fact, some of the things you learn at work, you need to take home. I haven't started doing performance reviews in my house. I called my daughter in the other day. I said, you don't seem to be happy here. This may not be the place for you. We have two sets of friends, people who will paint, who will move stuff, who will take stuff, do anything for you. We have another group of friends who come to the party we have after the family gets moved in. Both are necessary, don't confuse the two. I called the friend, I was like, her teeth were sticking out. She said, something not right. It was her husband's dentures. And it was silence. Finally, she goes, I can't believe that you're laughing at the very people you claim you're supposed to be helping. I hung up and laughed at her. Not only did I laugh, I now use it. When things are off in our office, we look at each other and go, something's not right. Laughter is the shorthand. It's the synchronicity to get you through that moment when you know you can't say in front of folks what you really mean. When they're trying to put stuff in your system that doesn't belong to you, something not right. It's just not. I came here with an understanding of what I felt I knew about Simply Better. I try every day to use everything that I have in my being to make the world a more fragrant place. Every morning I get up really, really early and I get on Periscope, that video stream app that allows you to send a message, and I say some inspirational lesson. This week we're talking about excellence. And I had to get on, I was like, I am seeing excellence in action. And then yesterday, I got a definition of Simply Better that surpassed anything I thought I knew. I got a basket from the leadership team. The hotel hadn't delivered it to the room the day before, but they delivered it yesterday, and I got to that room, and I sat there. I get a basket almost most places I go. They give you a basket, there's food in it. Sometimes I don't need food for a week later. There's all kind of stuff. I have to tell you, this was simply the best that I've ever seen. It didn't require a lot of money, but it took a lot of heart. Every member of the leadership team wrote a handwritten note to me. And they didn't stop there. They knew that I moved to Savannah from down the road in Solana Beach. And I moved because I got married. And divorced. Were you not listening? I love where I live. But I left with a different idea. And I've never really processed that. And they turned the processing of it into joy. Because somebody from this team got in a car, drove to Solana Beach, got the sand and the seashells, got a magnet that they didn't know it was the exact view from my house. They got a sign from one of the places there. And then they went further. Because the thing that I love the most right now is my 9-month-old granddaughter, Elena Rose. And they had no way of knowing, but I've been trying to find a rattle that she'll keep. Because my daughter is 23 and still has a rattle. Every time we donate everything, she'd hide that rattle. And then go, I still got it. And not only can I find a rattle that Elena Rose will keep, I can't even find one that she won't throw across the room. You give it back to her, she's like, no, this is not a good rattle. They got me a Minnie Mouse rattle. It's got rattles in the ear. They didn't stop there. She's got a little Solana Beach, California onesie. I've got a baby's blanket and a mug to remember where I'm from. Listen, simply better is not doing what you think you want to give to someone. It's giving to someone what they don't even know they need. You possess the power to do that and so much more. And because I am now about to move into the crack cry, you know the one. All I can say is you have surpassed my wildest expectations, my greatest hopes and dreams. I know that the world can be a better place because you were on the job. Thank you so very much.